Hey, folks, and welcome to Creepy Conversations from the Castle. Once again, this is Bobby J. Gallo, your host, and boy, do we have a show for you tonight. But before we do that, I just want to let everybody know, and I want to thank everybody that we have hit over 50,000 subscribers right now. And actually, we're at 51,000 since we made that announcement. So we actually gained 1,000 in the past week, which is just mind boggling to me. Don't really know how that's happening, but it is. I think after 12 years of having the channel, the algorithm is finally being nice to us. And I think that's an awesome thing. We got a lot of exciting things going on. Of course, our guest tonight is the most exciting thing, but I just want to say a few things before we bring her on. Our collaboration with Finercy, the electronics company, is still going great. Just want to let everybody know that we will actually be field testing a brand new piece of equipment from them. We were using the ERD10. Here it is right here. EMF detector. We used that on our last episode, Mysteries of Oddfellows Cemetery. And this is just a phenomenal piece. And they actually liked it so much, our presentation of the unit and how we used it on our investigation, that they're going to be sending us another piece of gear. And I have it right here. I just want to show everybody. And this is actually the GC 03 3-in-1. And get this. Are you ready, folks? It's a nuclear energy detector. Okay. It also does EMF, but it detects nuclear radiation. Now, I don't know. I really do not know whether or not nuclear radiation plays a part in the paranormal. I can tell you this. I have never seen anybody test for it during an investigation. So we're going to be testing for that for the very first time using this unit from Finercy. So I'm kind of excited about that because you never know. I mean, we now think the paranormal exists on a quantum level, and quantum's all about atoms and physics. So maybe there is a nuclear component. Who knows? I don't know. We also did get in another one of our new t-shirt designs. I'm going to show everybody. This is like my personal favorite right here. Afterlife research is a higher calling. There we go, with an angel on the front. There we go. Why? Because everything in the paranormal does not have to be scary, folks. And we're actually going to be talking about that with our guest. Now, before I bring her on, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, folks. You're saying, Bobby, do you do this on purpose? Do I do what on purpose? Do you always have pretty girls on the show? Do you do that on purpose? I mean, look, we have Jenny Colucci, okay? We have Melissa Ferranzano. We had Danielle Traverna. Okay, we have April Abercrombie. Well, our next guest is no exception. And my wife just thinks she's absolutely adorable. And she is actually the co-host of the Ghoul Friends podcast. Now, we met last year. It wasn't even a year ago, at the White Hill Mansion Paranormal Expo in Fieldsboro, New Jersey. We were actually booth neighbors, and we kind of hit it off. You know, I mean, personality, just, you know, the vibes. You know, you guys know me, that my only psychic gift is I know if somebody is genuine. I can read people really, really well, and I know whether or not I want to connect with them. Well, immediately we wanted to connect with our next guest and her co-host of her podcast, which is right here on YouTube. She's an amazing girl. She really is. And we share a lot of the same views because I read all of her posts on Facebook. And I really think she's kind of cool. And she's got an amazing show, which I really want to get a lot of people from this show, a lot of our subscribers, to go over and subscribe to her. I think that would be awesome. So we are going to bring her on right now, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Morgan Fezza.
Oh my goodness, what an introduction. Thank you so much for such kind words. I think equally as high of you, and I think that you and your wife and your daughters are just an absolutely beautiful family, and I'm just so
Aw.
happy to be here today.
Thank you. And I always like to tell people we only get the cool kids on this show. So,
Yes.
you
I love
know,
being a cool kid.
absolutely, you deserve it. You deserve it. You know, we're kind of obviously I'm twice your age, but personality wise, they say the soul is ageless. So, you could connect with somebody, on a psychic level. Doesn't matter what the age is. I truly believe that. And you seem to me to be an old soul, to be honest with you. Because you seem very enlightened, I'm gonna say. I don't even know how old you are, but you do have a child.
I
So
do.
yeah, but you look really young though. So
Well, thank you. Thank
it's
you.
it's true though. It's true though. So you have the Ghoul Friends podcast,
Yes.
and your host is your
So
co-host. Your co-host.
So I'm a host and owner.
Okay.
And I have two co-hosts. But right now, just due to like lifing, is what we'll say,
Right.
Taylor's planning a wedding and Rachel has a really awesome, she has a whole dog training, dog walking, dog boarding business that she started a couple of years back. So both of them are just super busy. So I have just kind of taken it on for the rest of the year, just kind of you know, adding some fun things in, testing some new things out. So I'm kind of saying this is our hustle and trial and error period,
Gotcha.
where we're just kind of trying some new things with the podcast and some new avenues. But yeah, I am the owner and host, and I started it in June of 23. Yeah. So, it's only been about 2 years, but
Mhm.
it has been the most fun 2 years of my life.
Isn't it cool? Isn't it
It's very
cool?
cool.
I've said, and boy, I'm eating crow right now because when I wrote my first book, Family Spirits, I said I would never do a podcast. I said I enjoy being the guest on podcasts, and I did literally hundreds of them. And now here I am, the host of a podcast. I don't. It just kind of happened, though. It just kind of happened. Somebody said that a good way to get watch time on YouTube was to host a podcast. So I says, all right, let me try it out, and I love it now. Really do, because I get to talk to the coolest people and we get to have great conversations.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
that's what I love about it so much is I feel like a
yeah,
lot of people, until you have a podcast, you don't really understand just how, like, truly enriching it is because
absolutely.
you get to learn so much. Like, I've changed my views on and my perspectives on so many different topics just
Hmm.
from talking to so many different walks of life. Like, there's just so many different cultures and backgrounds and belief systems, and when you get to kind of, learn all of that, and you're always taking something away from every show that you do, and I think that's so special.
I agree. I agree. And I think I'm always learning. I'm always learning. And I'm one of those guys that even though I stated with certainty a lot of things in my two books, I will still admit when I might be wrong. Um, one of those things happened actually fairly recently when I thought electromagnetic energy was the only way that ghost manifested. And then there was a ghost that was following us around generating zero EMF, but generating a lot of actual electrical field. And I'm like, I don't know how this is happening. So I guess I'm going to have to change my view on that. But even things that people have told me on my own show sometimes gets me thinking. It really does. Now you are kind of like me. I know you've written about this in your Facebook posts, and just talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
But you get some pushback because of what you do and what you believe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So one of my most recent incidents, and this is really one of the biggest, what I'll say the founding blocks of why I started the Ghoulfriend Hour was, my daughter was going through the process of interviewing and going for a local Christian school that everybody seems to go to here. They've sung
Um,
the praises, and you know, we were really excited. We had gotten in. They had we did the interview, everything went well. They loved her, they loved us, everything was great. And they gave her approval, her acceptance letter. And then about a week after that, we got a phone call that they wanted us to come in for a second interview and to chat about some things. And so I wasn't thinking anything of it. I was thinking it was probably because when we had brought Maisie, towards the end of it was right after school. So she was a little bit antsy and a little bit kind of, so I'm like, maybe because of that, they just wanted more one-on-one time with us while she was at school to kind of chat and just really make sure we understood, the weekly like Bible school and all this stuff and kind of the requirements. And so I was like, okay. And my husband had that. He's got kind of that like sixth sense when it comes to
Right,
knowing
right.
something's afoot. And so we did go in and he had a printout of my podcast page.
Oh
Um,
no, come
and he kind
on.
of just slid it across the desk from me and basically condemned me and told me that I was evil and that
What?
we didn't, basically like they would not accept that kind of thing in their community, and that if this is the belief system my daughter was going to be brought into, just the whole thing. And it was really, honestly, like, if I'm just being fully transparent, it is empowering as I like to be about taking up space. And I am human at the end of the day, and it was really humiliating and I think really sad
Oh,
because an opportunity that I wanted to give to my daughter was again kind of taken away by that stigma that the paranormal is this, evil, demonic thing. And
right.
so yeah, so I've it was definitely like it was a big learning curve. And what I thought was really neat though was looking back on it now, it was such a great growth opportunity because in a moment where I was absolutely heartbroken and I felt really kind of disappointed by my own religion and my own faith, I was like, wow, like how do you let this happen? But I realized, I think that in my belief system, it was kind of God kind of stepping in and rerouting us away from something that was just not a good fit in the long run. And it really opened my eyes not only to one, what a great spouse I have, because as somebody who is religious as my husband, he was very much like, listen, you keep doing what you're doing, you be authentic to yourself, and reinforced, my own belief system that I had lost in the moment, and was kind of like, hey, you know the paranormal better than anybody. Like, you do this all the time. And he's like, and there's a reason you started your podcast, and it's to give a voice to people who end up in situations like this, who get demonized and religion gets weaponized against them. And he's like, and this is why you do what you do. So like, keep doing it and don't let this, deter you from that. And I was like, you know what? 100%, this is a great, growing point to kind of reinforce, why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it was interesting, but this is the kind of thing that I feel like I see on the daily basis is, my whole life, I kind of stayed in what Sam Baltrusis calls the crystal closet. I had always been sensitive since I was younger, and I had a lot of experiences growing up in my grandparents' home. And, in the early 90s, early 2000s, there wasn't, ghost hunting shows were still becoming a thing. And
Mhm.
all these like the paranormal things, like there wasn't a whole lot of education around it, and there wasn't, we didn't have like YouTube really yet, and we didn't have the iPhone really yet. So there was still a lot of things to kind of come into my universe to kind of teach me about it. So I walked through a lot of that blindly, and I didn't talk about it often because of religion. And there was this worry that if I said something, I'd be labeled crazy or weird or,
Mhm.
be kind of outcasted. And so that's really where this idea for the Ghoulfriend Hour became a thing. And I decided, I'm going to do it because over and over, I just kept hearing this recurring theme of like the black sheep and people, not being able to be their authentic self and be the black sheep and be weird and be accepted for just who they were. And so yeah. So that's my long and winded.
I think that's a great story. And don't worry about people thinking you're weird. People have thought I was weird ever since I was a little kid. And at one point, I just embraced it. I said, you know what, this is who I am. And guess what? When that happened, that's when things really started to click anyway in my life. And I actually started to get popular because I was the weird kid until I embraced the weirdness. Now everybody wants to be like me. So, and I think everybody's going to want to be like you. I want to be like you. I got to get those.
Thanks.
I got to get those heart-shaped sunglasses
We'll get
first.
you a pair. I have a
All
black
right.
pair, I have a purple pair. We'll hook you up.
I want to say hi to Kathy. Thank you, Kathy, for watching from Maine. I think that's cool.
Hi,
Um,
Kathy.
Now, would you mind me asking you? You said you were a member of that Christian denomination. What denomination is that? I'm very curious.
So which denomination was the church?
Yes.
So we found out afterwards that they were a Baptist church.
Ah, okay.
And so because it was called, I won't like totally name call them, but I'll just say like it was our town name Christian Academy.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but then we did find out that they were a Baptist church. I grew up Protestant. And my grandparents raised me, and they were not they were not hardcore religious by any means. Um, oh, I love that. Thank you so much, Kathy.
That is great.
It's true though, and it's funny because they always say in like Christian faith, God makes no mistakes. Like you are what is it? You're fearfully and wonderfully made. And so
Right.
it's funny that, and this is kind of what my husband said, is it's really funny that they would condemn somebody and basically chastise them for being who they are and not accept them into their church, but then preach, in
Right.
the church, have sit front pew and be like, "Oh, yeah, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and God loves you no matter what." And it's like that's the kind of weaponization of religion that really stinks and really ruins it for some people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it does absolutely. And I don't know if you saw my latest Facebook post where I actually traced back the origins of this whole mindset that every ghost is a demon when the Bible says complete opposite.
Yeah.
Bottom line is this started in the 1500s. And even in, I'm a Roman Catholic, so even in my own faith, there are some Catholicism is so varied. I mean, there's a lot of mysticism in Catholicism. So I mean, like Saint Faustina, she used to go to the cemetery and talk to the spirits. And people go, well, she was a saint. It says, well, she wasn't a saint when she was alive because you don't become a saint till after you're dead. So when she was alive, she's just like you and me, and she's talking to spirits. Okay, so but there's a lot of mysticism in the Catholic Church. So you got some people on one side that are totally okay with it, and some people that are not. But as far as the evangelical, the fundamentalist Christian sects, they really started this belief system around 1500, because when the Protestant Reformation happened and they broke away from the Catholic Church, they did away with the doctrine of purgatory, which, believe it or not, is the only explanation as to why ghosts can hang around. Because if that doesn't exist, then what happens is something I call the cosmic vacuum cleaner theory, which when you die, you're either sucked up or you're sucked down, and you have no choice in the matter. And whichever place you go, you're stuck there. So even heaven is a prison if that's the case. Now, I don't believe that. I believe spirits can travel. I believe in ghosts, if you will. And I don't think it interferes with what we believe as Christians. In fact, as I said, in several places in the Bible, ghosts are mentioned, and they're never mentioned that they're demons. As a matter of fact, there's not one passage in the Bible that said ghosts are demons. This is a contemporary invention that is designed for you to get all of your answers in the pulpit. They don't want you investigating. They don't want you going to mediums. They don't want you getting any kind of spiritual information other than church. And the only way they can do that is by saying, well, that's a demon, so you need to stay here. And that's my 2 cents on it, to be honest with you. So you know what? I know what you're going through. I know many people that have gone through it. It sucks. It really does.
It does suck. But it's funny though, because it's like when you kind of your faith, and like my friends joke about it, but they say like I kind of have my own religion. Like I'm very much Christian, but I have my own relationship with God, and
Right.
that's the one that matters, is like how I'm talking to him and how I'm keeping that line of communication alive, and
Right.
keeping him present in our home. And so I think what it comes down to is like people seem to forget too, like the particularly these people that weaponize religion, that Jesus sat at tables with sinners. Like he sat
Yep.
with the sinners, right? And he like there were times where Jesus flipped tables. He was not this like, people like to think that Jesus was this absolutely non-aggressive or non, but he knew when enough was enough, and he knew when to kind of to put the iron fist down, but in a way that like taught and changed, rather than kind of belittled and outcasted, is like the way that I like to look at it from what it says in the Bible. And so I don't like this kind of I'm gonna pick and choose from the Bible what fits our church, and then use that to kind of damn
Right.
certain people
Right.
and certain
Yeah, well, those people don't like to talk to me because I could I've read the Bible, I've studied the Bible in relationship to the paranormal, and they always go to Old Testament passages that are actually defunct right now. I mean, they don't apply to normal Christians, because I don't know if you know anything about Pentecost, but that's when the Holy Spirit came down, and that's when we received discernment of spirits and the gifts of prophecy, and we have a different dynamic now with the paranormal than those in the Old Testament times did. And then, but there's also, I mean, it's in Leviticus, and I always tell people, I say, well, do you have a tattoo? Do you eat shrimp? Do you have, do you shave your face? Because all of those things are considered just as bad as talking to spirits in Leviticus. So, and they're like, oh, no, no, they're different. I'm like, no, they're not. And
see, that's what I'm talking about.
if
You
you
can't
read the
change
book,
it.
it says don't do any of these, and yet they will do this, and this. Oh, but don't go on a ghost hunt. So it's hypocrisy, is what it is basically. So,
Yes.
and but not to go down the rabbit hole on this, but we also talked about near death experience, and I know that's a subject that um and when in the paranormal, the paranormal is very expansive. I mean, it includes cryptozoology, ADE, after death, ADC rather, after death communication, and NDE, which is near death experience. And I think that's every bit as much paranormal as anything we do on a ghost hunt,
Mhm.
because it's all spiritual. And if and NDE is probably the one area that has the biggest body of science behind it.
Yeah.
So if we can prove NDE, we can prove pretty much everything else we do in the paranormal. So what do you think?
Yeah, and so it's so funny. Near death experiences are probably my favorite like wormhole to go down, because as a former healthcare worker, like if doctors are the most rigid, like they are. I love my doctors, love my nurses, but they are very much a like I need to see it for it to exist, right?
Right.
Kind of thing. And so basically, like long story short, how I kind of got into this was my grandparents had raised me, so we were very, very close. They were more like my mom and dad. So when my grandmother had gotten sick with lung cancer,
Mm.
um she had been in remission, things were going good, and then just overnight she developed some kind of blockage, and it basically over the next 2 weeks she would pass. So I got introduced into hospice a little bit, and was kind of front and center for those 2 weeks of just like her comfort care, and really getting into end of life. And what was crazy to me was the day that she passed away, watching her hospice nurse just kind of know the signs. And it wasn't just this like clinical experience for me, but it turned into this like deeply like spiritual experience, because I thought, in my head clinically, like even though my whole life I had experience with spirits and I had always been very connected to the spirit world, when you're up close and personal with death, like in your face, it becomes very scientific and clinical, because all you can do in that moment is process, you know, the body and dying. And so I'm sitting there and I'm very much like, okay, well, her body's just going to go when it goes. And her hospice nurse comes in and she kind of says to me and my aunt, you know, she is holding on for you guys. And I'm like, but how does she know that? Like, my grandmother has not been responsive. She hasn't said a word in like the last 3 days. And she's like, I know, I can just tell. And she just had this way about her. And so I was like, okay. She's like, let's get all the family together. Let's all gather around her and we're going to help her through this. And I'm like, what do you mean we're going to help her through this? And I'm like confused, because I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like, the body's just going to go. And I'm not thinking spiritual at this point. So sure enough, you know, my aunt's there, her sister's there, basically our little tribe unit. We're all around her. And the one person that is missing is her grandson, who she basically said, with her
Mm,
cancer, I'm going to make it
mm.
to my daughter's wedding and I'm going to make it to his first birthday. And she
Oh,
did. Literally, she relapsed in her cancer. It was the day after his first birthday. It was the craziest thing. So we're waiting on my uncle to get there with the baby, and she is like, you know, we're like, it's okay, like, you can go, mom, everything's fine. We're rubbing her hands and she will not let go. And the nurse said, no, she's waiting for that baby.
mm,
And he comes in the room, they come rushing through the door, and it's Pop, it's my uncle Kyle, and then it's baby Kyle. And so they sit baby Kyle right with her. He looks at her face, he grabs her face, lets out this enormous giggle, and she took
mm.
her last breath.
Oh my goodness.
And that
Wow.
was the moment for me where I was like, that you could feel her like leave.
Yep.
It was like the
Yep.
sun was coming in at a certain angle right onto her. His giggle was just something we've never heard. And it was just this moment of like, I thought that this would be the moment where my heart literally left my body and I would never recover from this moment. And instead, it felt like peace and the most
Right.
warm hug. It just, the whole room felt light and just joyous, and you felt her leave the room, and then when she was gone, it just was empty. And so that really got my wheel turning on what truly, like, I've seen ghosts and I've lived through all of these experiences in my haunted house, and but where, like, what actually happens to us, and like, where do we go when you feel a person finally take their last breath and watch them physically leave their body? It really starts to get the gears going on, wanting to know, you know, what other people have experienced. And so for the next I want to say 4 or 5 months, I think I spent majority of my life in Barnes and Nobles and read every near death experience book that I could get my hands on, and the accounts that I read about were just astonishing. And that's why I find it so intriguing, and I felt like I just wanted to give you my kind of how I got into that, and like another part of my story of how I kind of have always been enveloped into the paranormal. But you know, from there, I ended up becoming a hospice worker, and I was a hospice worker for about 3 years, I think, total. And I did it all throughout COVID, and so that was an experience watching people on the brink of death, and a lot of just different cultural experiences with death. And so near death experiences and death itself has been a very hot topic in my life. um, and it really solidifies, you know, not only seeing it firsthand through hospice, through my grandmother, but reading about all these other instances where people have had these experiences where they should not have lived through that. They should not have, like, clinically should not have come back from that. And to read these accounts of nurses and doctors who are the most logical and clinical scientific people that you will ever meet, be, you know, like, hey, this is this is real life. Like, I experienced this and I have no explanation, and I've gone to medical school, and yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say hi to Jenny Colucci, who's now on. And Morgan, you know that Jenny's a physicist, right?
I did not know that.
She is like the real deal scientist. And oh, that was your daughter. Wow. I almost thought that was an apparition for a
She
second.
just popped in and scared me, and I'm
Hi,
like, oh no.
sweetheart. How are
You
you?
wanna say hi? Say hi.
Hello.
Hi, honey. Thank you for joining us. Wonderful. She's adorable. Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I'm trying to get her situated. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Don't. Hey, look, this is a casual show. She can do whatever she wants. And
But
Amber
she's
says
a
hi,
so
Morgan.
she's hi Amber. So you said she is a physicist.
She's a physicist, but she's very involved in the paranormal. Very open-minded. Very rare to see somebody like that. And she did say, amazing. I heard of people waiting for people to come or to leave before passing. What a testament to her spirit. So thank you, Jenny, for weighing in on that. And I know she is a beauty, isn't she?
Oh, thank you.
For sure. Yeah, I know. I told you that I had my near-death experience that was kind of weird because I didn't die, but I was going to die. And, it was after the gallbladder surgery when my bilirubin levels were climbing after the surgery. So they gave me a CAT scan, and the doctor said, you got one of the stones fell out, it's lodged in your bile duct, and you're going into septic shock. And that's very common. It's also very common for people to pass from that because you go to sleep and you just don't wake up because your body poisons itself. They say it's a very peaceful way to go, and I can imagine so because I was so groggy and I was so out of it. But just then, when I was alone just before the doctor came in to tell me I had to go in for an emergency surgery, second one, doctor came before the doctor came into the room. My father appeared at the foot of my bed, who passed in 1983. And I not only did he appear, but I could see he was coming through some kind of a portal. It almost looked like a ring of clouds around him. And he was wearing a white suit, which he never wore, but to me, it was very odd, but it was him. And he looked like he was in his 30s. And he was very pointedly, he just looked at me, he goes, "Are you ready to go?" And I said, "No, Dad, I can't. My kids still need me." And he just said, he looked at me, he almost looked disappointed. He shook his head. He says, "I understand." He turned around and he was gone just like that. I mean, gone.
That's so
I
beautiful.
blinked my eyes and he wasn't there anymore. And then the doctor comes into the room to tell me, "You're going back into surgery." And I just believe in my heart of hearts that if I said, yes, I'm ready to go, I would have died right then and there from septic shock. I just would have gone to sleep and that would have been it. I would have went with him. And I wrote about that in my second book. There's a lot of things that I've experienced in that, but that one was actually fairly recent. But yeah, let me see. We have another one from Kathy. Morgan, what state do you live in? Hoping you're near Maine.
So I am in Delaware. I am so far from Maine, but I have high hopes to be in Maine hopefully soon because I've been dying to get up that way.
Yeah, you got to go to Salem too on the way.
Oh, I love Salem.
Salem is awesome. It is. It is. It is. That's when we caught one of our greatest EVPs in the old churchyard there.
Oh.
Yeah, it was cool. We were all laughing. My youngest daughter, Courtney, was cracked a joke, and we all started laughing. And then we didn't realize it until we reviewed the video, but a fourth voice started laughing with us
Oh my gosh.
through the video mic. And you could tell it's not one of us at all. It's a fourth person there laughing. We must have played that 100 times. That's a fourth person laughing.
That's a bucket list item to get a ghost to laugh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep. It was cool. And it was a female voice and it didn't sound like any of us. It was crazy. Yeah. So So yeah, I mean, now you've had a lot of experiences. I mean, what are some of, I mean, this is like such a, I hate asking this question because everybody asks this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I want to know. What's one of your coolest experiences on an investigation?
Ooh,
Doesn't have to be
so,
scary. Just what was the
um,
coolest?
well, one of the coolest, I'm gonna have it like a two-parter. So one of the coolest evidence moments that I ever had was at the Lizzie Borden house. Um, we had gotten our first Class A EVP,
Oh,
so
nice.
and it was so loud that I didn't even need to like isolate it or like
Right.
clear out background noise. It was just a good old Sony handheld recorder,
The
and we
best.
were in the actually no, actually I take that back. It was just my GoPro mic. And
Oh,
we were I was just kind of filming off because I kept sensing something behind me. So I was just, filming to see if I caught anything. And my aunt and I felt kind of a little bit uncomfortable because there were some autopsy photos scattered everywhere. And I just have my
oh,
own
right,
opinions
right.
and belief systems about that. So I was
Okay.
like, we should probably turn those over. And my aunt was like, well, why don't, this is a good opportunity to ask the spirits, how they feel about it. So she said, would you like us to turn these autopsy photos over? And very loudly, you can hear, what we think is Andrew Borden, and it just says over. Very loud, very
Mm,
pronounced, and I have that video on my TikTok. It's just such a cool video, and that was actually, an investigation that was kind of just it was just a, bucket list item. It wasn't even like a true blue investigation, but
right,
we just did
right.
the tour and just did a little bit of investigating, but the amount of activity that we got was pretty crazy, so that was coolest evidence piece. The craziest thing that I think has really happened to me physically on an investigation was having my like hair, like the back of my hair pulled. Like it felt like somebody like full hand just did one of
Mm,
these and kind of pulled my head back. And I
wow.
don't typically get very jarred on investigations, but this was one of those moments where leapt up out of my seat. Like I'm pretty sure I threw a water bottle because it just like was a knee-jerk reaction.
Sure.
And I was like, all right, bye. I'm out of here. I was like, I need to go get some fresh air because we were supposed to be there all night. And I was like, this had been my fourth or fifth time at this location. And me and this particular entity don't get along in the basement. So I wasn't very enthusiastic about
How does
going down
anyone not get along with you?
there. Me and this fella, he is a very old soul, and he is just grumpy. And me and him do not see eye to eye because he was not a good person in life, and so in death he's still not a very nice person. And so it was very interesting that I had that experience because I had never been physically grabbed in such a manner, and so I
Mm,
definitely was like, all right, I need a quick break after that one because I don't really startle easily, and that was like, I was like, oh my god, that is probably hands down the craziest thing because I felt like you could feel the fingers run through, like physically touch my scalp, like it ran
right.
through the back of my head, and I was like, oh, I didn't like that.
Well,
So
I think sometimes you have to get out of the situation. I mean, we've had a lot of experiences, but I will tell you that when we feel threatened, we extricate ourselves from the locale.
mhm.
And we've done that a number of times, and sometimes it didn't help because it followed us anyway. But it takes a lot to scare me too, and I'm not bragging or anything like that. It's just that I've seen so much and I'm looking for it. So when I get it, I'm actually more gratified than scared. So very few dude run moments for me, but there are those occasions where things just don't feel right.
Yeah.
And I can tell, you could feel it in your gut. And you just know that the atmosphere is depressing, it's oppressing, um I can think of a lot of adjectives
Yeah.
for the way you feel when something doesn't want you there. And I think at those times it's probably smart to leave. So
There's definitely I'm a big fan of listening to your gut because I can literally tell you as a true testament, anytime I have not listened to my gut, it lands me in a sticky situation. And Jenny,
yep.
100% right. You you just know when to go. When your feet take off before your brain processes, your body has that built-in sensor, that thing from evolution where it's just like, hey, fight or flight. And if you're not fighting, you're flighting. So
We were it was about 2 years ago, I think now. We were at the bash, and we went out on an investigation that night near Sachs Bridge at the Hanging Tree with Gavin Kelly and his wife Paula. And from the get-go, nothing was going right. The video was just coming out horrible. But the weirdest thing was the tree was heating up and it was getting hot. And we had a temperature gun on it. I mean, there was no mistaking it. It was getting hot. It was actually raising in temperature, which I've never seen happen before. And just when that was happening, Courtney goes, "Daddy, we need to leave now." And I says, "Why?" She goes, we just have to go. And we just had that feeling that something was around that just wasn't friendly. And so we left. So, and I actually don't have that on my channel anymore because the video is just so horrible, but maybe I'll put it back up there for people. Now that I mentioned it, now people are going to want to see it, but I got to warn you folks, it's a tedious watch because the video is just horrible. So
I'm so happy that you mentioned that because me and my husband are huge. Like we literally practically lived at Gettysburg. It's my husband's favorite place on this
oh, that's
planet.
awesome. I
And
got to meet your husband.
oh my gosh, you guys would get along so well.
He looks like such a great guy on all your posts. You can
He
see it.
he is. He is. I'm so braggadocious about him because he is
Good.
truly just like salt of the earth. Like I always tell him he's the calm to my crazy. Like he is always just, I don't know how he does it. It's just so like calm as a cucumber, just so like loving and peaceful. And it's just, he just wants to do his history thing. Like he loves history. So that's why Gettysburg, I think, is a great place for us because he gets his history fill and then I get my like paranormal fill.
Right. Right.
But yeah, Sachs Covered Bridge is one of my favorite and least favorite places
I know what
because
you're going to say, but go ahead.
yeah, it changes day and night. Like when you're there during the day, it still has a little bit of an air to it, but come nightfall, it's ridiculous.
You know what I thought you were going to say? My problem with Sachs Covered Bridge is you go there and it's either you have the place to yourself or more times than not, it's packed with people and you really can't do an investigation because there's just too many people hanging around.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the only places in Gettysburg you could actually go at night.
No, you don't have candy.
Gosh,
You don't have candy anyway.
I will get you a lollipop.
There's no candy?
Anyway.
I thought that was a marshmallow peeping back of you.
What are you on?
She keeps breaking into my office.
Is she in a race? Is he in a race car? What is he?
He's not
Am I in a race car?
What is he sitting in?
He's sitting in his chair, and there's
my chair. It's supposed to be like a space person's chair, like I'm driving a spaceship.
Yeah. But yeah, Sachs Bridge. I know. I'm like we get like 30 minutes, and then it's like the attention span is like, all right, we got.
I don't see.
But yeah,
It's
so
okay. I think she's adorable.
Sachs Covered Bridge is just like
candy right now.
Okay, can you hold on 1 second?
Can I have candy?
Yes, I'll get you a lollipop.
No.
Yeah, give me 1 minute.
Well, just baby, 1 minute.
It is.
Talk to him. Just
Yeah.
shush.
Okay, all right.
Give me a lollipop.
She is demanding.
Give me a
If you wanna-
lollipop.
You can go get her a lollipop. It's
all
fine.
right. Give me 1 second. If you want to entertain,
Folks,
her audience.
Morgan's gonna go get a lollipop. That's right. This is important. There we go. Folks, is that little girl precious or what? I mean, seriously, she is. But yeah. Hey, Jenny, if you're still watching, I have a question for you. Do you think that I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but Finercy, the company that we have a collab with, is going to be sending us a nuclear radiation detector. Do you think that there's a possibility that nuclear radiation could have anything to do with the paranormal? Because we're going to find out. That's funny. Candy's important. Now I just got some too. OMG. So, yeah. So that's right. Here, I'm going to flash this up here again. We're going to be getting one of these from Finercy. They're sending it to us to use on our investigations. Now, it does regular EMF, but it also does nuclear radiation detection. This is something new that I don't think anybody's done yet. So we're going to see what happens. So just telling everybody that's what we have coming up. There we go. Okay. All right. Now you're a physicist, Jenny, so I want your input on that. I don't know. Okay, and she's back, folks.
We're rocking and rolling.
There she is, Morgan Fezza. What'd you get? What kind of candy did she get? I want to know.
We keep a bag of dum-dums. So I was like, listen, handful of this ran downstairs. I'm like, girlfriend. Got her a handful of dum-dums. I'm like, pick whatever flavor.
No, it's cool. It's very cool. Well, we got like 10 minutes and it's not quite time to start doing the plugs for everything that you want to promote. But I do want to know if there's anything that you want to, any rabbit holes that you want to go down.
I kind of want to get your thoughts on maybe chat about White Hill Mansion a little bit, since that's our origin story.
It is our origin story, yes. That's funny.
What did you experience there?
Nothing, because I didn't go on the investigation.
Have you ever been there though?
Yes.
Okay.
Not for an investigation though. And I do want to do that. I know Dave Giuliano, he asks me on occasion to do that. And I just have to make the time. But I do enjoy that expo. I mean, it was very funny. You know, I'm a big fan of Heather Taddy because I'm a Paranormal State fan from when they started.
Yes.
And, so when the very first time I met her, she recognized me first, which I'll never forget. And that's cool. When somebody that you're a fan of recognizes you. So, I mean, because, you know, not to brag, but we were like one of the very first paranormal web series on YouTube. So people know us like from way, way back.
You guys are amazing. Like
looking
at like your videos and stuff, and I love seeing, like, I have your notifications on, so anytime you post something new, I'm like, I gotta go watch what Bobby posted. But I love it. I look forward to it because it was like such a unique approach to the paranormal to have, like, I feel like it's not often that you get to see families, like, it bringing families together to do it, like, and I love that because I hope that at some point that could be like Maisie, myself, and my husband, because she loves like paranormal stuff and she loves going investigating. So I just absolutely loved it because I hope that one day that can be us.
Well, it can be. It can be. I mean, if I could turn back time, are there some things I would have done differently in terms of protection and places that we investigated? Probably. There probably would have been. I mean, we jumped right into it because, and even though me personally, I did investigations as far back as 1990. As a family, I think I was a little overzealous maybe in some of the investigations. And then we ended up having some issues because of it, but not with the kids. It was just basically with Renee, but something I don't even talk about in my books. You know, we ever get together, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
Maybe when the time is right, we'll publish it. It's just not the right time now, but yeah, but I still think it's okay to bring kids on an investigation. I really do. And what you will find is they will see things and hear things that you can't. My daughter Courtney could see orbs, and she would point to where they were and take the picture, and there it was. And I mean, look at, I understand. I'm like everybody else. I know lens flare exists and causes orbs in pictures. I know some airborne particulates can do the same, but there are paranormal orbs, and we've seen, and she's seen them. We photographed them doing impossible things. They exist in our opinion, but now she can't. Years later, nope, she can't see them. She can't hear them because life gets, once you mature, I think you lose that. You put up that barrier. I think that's what happens more than anything
Yeah.
else. But I think it's okay to bring them on a ghost hunt. I do.
Speaking of orbs, I kind of want to pick your brain on something,
Sure.
because it was something that I have never experienced before. I'm not a huge, oh, thanks, Jenny. I'm not a huge orb person, but we were at Penhurst and we did a private there, and we were sitting in, I always mix up the names of the halls, but it was like the one where they always have, like when they do the big Penhurst Paracon, it's like they have like the stage and then that hallway that opens up into that big room. So we were in there, and it was only 3 or 4 of us, I think, in that big open section. And I had seen, like, I asked everybody, I'm like, I didn't think there was any like lightning or thunderstorms or anything happening, but it was the most, I don't even know how to describe it. It was the most odd thing I've ever seen. It looked like a ball, probably about this big. And
Wow. Okay.
it like the only way my mind could rationalize it was lightning, but it was blue. And it just kind of like bounced, like, you ever see like when a car passes your house and that light kind of
Yeah.
just, oops, sorry, like circles the room real quick and then it vanishes?
Used to freak
It,
me out as a kid. Yes.
yes, it was like a big blue ball and it just kind of did that same motion. And I was like, it happened so quickly that like I couldn't process it. But I'm like, have you ever seen anything like that?
Ooh. I'm going to say no, but I'm
Okay.
going to say that orbs come in all different shapes, sizes, colors. We photographed square orbs.
Okay.
And we've gotten orbs that were huge, ectoplasmic like clouds. So I believe it. It probably wasn't ball lightning, which does exist, but I definitely think it could have been a paranormal orb for sure. Obviously, it wasn't dust because you saw it with your own eyes, but you know, going way back in a lot of writings, a lot of paintings, a lot of times orbs are depicted as orbs. So even in ancient Buddhist texts, they knew something that we don't know. So when all of these skeptics come out and they have this blanket debunk that they're all dust, I just don't buy it based upon the evidence I've gathered. I have the hard evidence. And there are physicists like Klaus Heinemann, PhD, who wrote the Orb Project. This is a NASA scientist who was getting orbs in the pictures, and everybody was telling him it was dust, and he wasn't buying it. He says, "Yeah, but there's something strange about it. They're responding to commands. They're appearing where I asked them to appear." So he ended up doing these ultra scientific experiments, and he was capturing them in clean rooms and where you can't capture anything, no dust particles. He was getting them underwater. He was getting them in situations. He was getting them with the camera lens cap closed. He was getting them in situations where it was impossible to get them.
That's
And he
crazy.
just came to the conclusion that they're not dust. Yes, lens flare could look like an orb. Yes, some airborne particulates can look like an orb. But a lot of the ones we're getting in pictures are exactly what we think they are. And I don't know if that answers your question. It's a tough one.
No, that's good to know because for the longest time, that has been the one thing that has happened to me on out of all the investigations that I've been on, that has been the one thing that's still in the back of my mind where like I don't have enough, like orbs are one of those things that maybe I should take more interest in them, but they're just not like my niche. There's other things that I think I just focus on a little bit more, but orbs, like I've never physically seen one. Like you see them in pictures and stuff, but this was like, it was way too weird. The pattern of movement and the way that it happened was way too weird because it wasn't like lightning, where when lightning strikes, it just lights everything up all at once. It was like a boom, boom, boom. And it was sectional, like, and it looked like it bounced, kind of like, it was just such a weird movement, and the color of it was so pigmented and weird that, like, I still to this day, like, I'm like, for the last however many months, I've been trying to, like, figure out, like, look at pictures and see if there's anything that looks like it, and I still cannot come up with anything to explain it. Like,
I would talk to do a Facebook search for Dr. Christina Rawls.
okay.
Dr. Rawls was a college professor and is now a full-time psychic medium, but she's a evidential medium, actually very amazing, very much into orbs. And she's written several books on them, and she could probably answer a lot of those questions.
Okay, cool.
That's what
cool.
I would do. I'll on Facebook, I'll get you guys hooked up. She's so nice. Oh my gosh.
That
Just
would
a
be amazing. So I'd love to just pick her.
wonderful
I wish I
person.
could have gotten a picture of it so I could physically be like, hey, what is this?
Yeah. She'd probably come on your show too. One of these days I got to get her on my show, but she'd probably come on your show too. But
Very cool.
no, that's very cool. So we got about I mean, if we go a little bit over, it's okay. But we got about 4 minutes. Kathy's got another question here. Had an aura photo while meditating through. Yeah, there you go.
Ooh,
Awesome, Kathy. I love that. Love that.
that's really cool.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Ghoulfriend Hour.
Yeah.
I mean, they could find it right here on YouTube. So, folks, what we're going to be doing, just to let you know, is we're going to not only tag it in the description of this video once it's cataloged, but we're also going to be putting the live link to the Ghoulfriend Hour podcast in the description. So you guys can click it, click, and subscribe. And you better do it. I want to see at least 10,000 of you do it. Okay. Minimum. Come on. I got 50,000 of you out there. 10,000 of you can do this for me. Okay. Come on. Look at her. She's great.
We would definitely love to see your faces and have some fun, spooky conversations.
Yes. And it's a great show. It really is. And it's an honor to support it. So is there anything else that you guys want to promote? Now I know you got some merch too. So is that linked on your
Yeah,
site?
so we actually have a website. So it's www.theghoulfriendhourpodcast.com. I know it's super long. And then if you just search up the Ghoulfriend Hour, everything will pretty much come up. Instagram, TikTok. But we have some really awesome candles. They're probably my favorite merch. We have some t-shirts, sweatshirts, everything's tie-dyed and funky and every color that you see here, purple and green, kind of our thing. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to us. We just love connecting with our listeners. So really like looking for listener stories and getting different perspectives on things. And we're always trying to create a safe space for everybody to kind of be who they need to be and share their stories and their experiences. So if you ever have something you want to chat about, or maybe you just feel like you don't have somebody to talk to about something spooky that happened, we're your ghouls. So just reach out and we got you.
We're your ghouls.
We're
I
your
love
ghouls.
that. I love that. She says that came out so natural. Like she didn't even have to think about it. It was like total muscle memory there. Like, we're your ghouls. We're your ghouls. I love that though. See, because she's got it all packaged there. And I think that's so cool. That's great. We only wish I could do something like that. I got my hat though.
There you go.
There you
There you go. And your cool glasses. We got cool. If anybody didn't notice, we decided to put on cool glasses tonight.
We did indeed, because it was just felt like doing it. So so that's great. No, that's awesome. So look at that, boy. That is 1 hour exactly.
Perfect.
I got to tell you, this was a fun show. And it was great. I think this was an awesome, creepy conversation. I really do.
Yay, that's always a success. And now you have to come on to our podcast. We have to bring you to the Ghoulfriend side. So this way, we'll get you some purple or green glasses. And then you can join us in our neck of the woods.
I would wear them.
Yes.
I would. I really would. Yeah. My
Or-
my watchers, my subscribers, whatever we call these people, they know that I would do it.
Yes.
They
I'm gonna
know that
send
I
a
would
little
do it.
PR box for you and your wife and your girls.
Yeah, we gotta do that. Well, anyway, Morgan, it has been an honor and a pleasure to finally have you on the show. I think we talked about some great stuff because honestly, a lot of the things we talked about, I've not talked about before. So I know that the listeners and those who are watching and those who are going to watch, because over the course of the weeks now, because it seems as though the bulk of my subscribers, this is not their time zone. So this is, once this gets cataloged, we're going to get probably thousands and thousands of views of this thing.
Very cool.
So I think they're really going to enjoy this because they're going to see and learn things that they have not learned before. Not so much
Awesome.
see things, except for the heart-shaped sunglasses. That might be new. That might be new. But they're definitely going to hear things that they haven't heard before. So any parting words?
Yeah, just if there's one piece of advice that I can give you guys before we kind of go here, it's, stay true to yourself, and no matter what life obstacles kind of arise, keep your head, keep your chin down, keep your head forward, and just do what makes you happy. Life's too short, as we all know, because here we are in the paranormal. And you need to do what feels good to you and live your life to the absolute fullest. So
Great. Awesome. Thanks everybody that participated in the chat. I really do appreciate it. Morgan, just hang out for 1 second after we end the stream. But everybody, thanks again. Bobby J. Gallo, Creepy Conversations with the amazing Morgan Fezza of the Ghoulfriend Hour podcast. And we are going to end this in 3, 2, 1.